Today, I want to have fun with an A major scale. This scale's really difficult because it requires a head-voice dominant mix and one which is balanced so that when we do the bottom A, there's enough sound down there, yet it's not too heavy, so that as we come up through the scale to an octave above, we're now able to do that without any obvious gear changes. So it's a really fun scale to do. I'm going to apply certain techniques that I use to enable me to sing this scale. The first thing I'm going to do is look at my voice as a Mrs. Bouquet type sound. This is the placating sound that I want to bring into the bottom A. No heavier than that. And here we go, here's the E. Now I really want this to be so head voice dominant now. That it transitions up to that A. Now you'll see I'm using the vowel R. R is a really difficult vowel, and I know that so many teachers nowadays will use E. I find E very easy, so it doesn't really teach me very much, but let's try it on an E, just for argument's sake. E, 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 Yeah, I don't find that terribly challenging because the lateral position of that E vowel is very easy. It's easy to place, if I dare use those words, the voice forward. Whereas R throws up some technical difficulty, so I find it more interesting and more challenging. Now, the next thing that I'd apply to that scale is the breath and the elasticity of the breath. So I'm going to do that by going s, s. Now it's not really the s that I'm so interested in. It's the flexibility, the bounce back of this region. It's like the Americans will say splat, or release. In other words, the breath becomes a release of the tension created by the expelling of the air and the creating of this uncomfortable feeling where we're not in an equilibrium. And then we have this tension. Here we go. S, 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 s. Now I'm wanting that flexibility as I go up the scale. Now, an R vowel can be whatever you wish it to be. You may want to have a longer, darker vowel, or a brighter vowel, so really you can just play around with different R's. I don't think there's a right or wrong. There's only a right or wrong depending on the genre and the language, the particular sound you're wanting. That's really it, I think, with an R vowel. I quite like a bright sound, so I like to have a little smirk on my face. what am I doing? I'm going all over the place. But I think you get the idea of it. A little smirk, I kind of like that bright sound. So now let's run this together into just a scale. Oh, by the way, in that last little effort that I just did, the D you would have heard was like a little bit like not working properly. And that was a prime example where I actually believe I started the scale off too heavily. And then by the time I got to the D, it was really hard to switch over. And it creates this feeling where the note's a little bit out of control. So I'm going to make sure I don't make that mistake again as we go up and down. Anyway, that was super fun and really fun working around that difficult part of my voice, and I think probably many other sopranos' voices, particularly people like me who are crossing over all the time. So sometimes I will bring the chest up higher, and I've got to return to that classical technique, return to making sure that the Melba point is adhered to so that I have a very head-voice dominant sound, and a very flexible and sound where I have a continuation of the sound throughout that passaggio. Thank you for joining me today. That was super fun. Ciao.